Yeah. So welcome, Maria. I see that you're joining us. I'm not sure if you have your volume on or if you can hear us, but we are going to get started in about 3-4 minutes. And if you want to engage and talk to people, that's good. I just need to find the video. So just give me a second while I do that. So I'm going to actually turn off my screen. So.
So good to have you here, Maria. Since you're here and tuning in with us, let me know if there's any questions or thoughts you have that you would like to give to a health and life coach. And you'll get the liberty of being able to kind of pick my brain where others that aren't tuning in live won't get that opportunity. So feel free to put those in the chat.
All right, she's already adding some stuff in the chat. So thank you very much, Maria, for doing that. And can you let us know where you're calling in from today, or what part of the world you're joining us from? That'd be also good. Or you can unmute, just say it, or. You're from Alberta. Well, a fellow Albertonian, or Albertan. Well, I'm from Edmonton. So where in Alberta are you at, Maria?
I live in Sherwood Park, so
yes,
next door.
I'm yeah, I am I'm just off Wayne Gretzky Drive and south of the river. So yeah, I go to Sherwood Park to do my shopping at Costco on a regular basis. Have you been on one of my webinars before?
Yes, I've been attending a few of them. Okay. I didn't get to the elevator pitch last week because I had something else.
Okay.
But I will in December, I think, is the next time.
Yeah, I could look that up really quick. Yeah, it's coming up on that. Well, so good to have. Oh, were you on before with your husband?
No.
Okay, that was somebody else from. It was a connection. I've presented since March 24th to about well excess of 1,500 people. So it's just kind of like it blends together. When you see people, and this is my 120th webinar, so unfortunately they just kind of do sometimes one big thing, right? So let's see, who do we?
Maria, I'm a little bit southeast of you all, I guess. I'm in Virginia in the United States. So that's why Luke was kind of asking me about the world from where I stand.
Yeah. So.
Right, yeah, because things are kind of upside down right now. Right side up, depends how you view it.
They can be, depending on how, depending on how you kind of look at it. I choose to not let it affect me, positive or negative, and just kind of keep being me and doing me.
Right, because it'll work itself out. It just takes time.
Exactly.
So we need to be patient and.
Yeah, and engage less in the rhetoric and hoopla, and just kind of, be still on that.
Letting ourselves be anxious or upset or whatever other negative emotions does no good for anyone.
So Maria, have you been on one of my Here to There shows yet? Or just have you been? No, okay.
I haven't, because it's conflicted with other things. I don't know that I can stay the whole time today, but I'll at least get started.
Oh, that's absolutely fine. However long you can stay.
And then I can check it out on YouTube after.
Yes, and that will be coming out on my channel on that. So, yeah, so the Here to There show is really meant to have a conversation with basically as many people as to show up, but it's really meant to be personal. It's meant to be authentic and genuine. And so I'm of the belief that if I'm having a conversation with one person, or if I'm having a conversation with dozens, it still goes to the greater good and whatnot. So that's why it's going to be Mary Louise and I are going to talk and have that conversation and just get to know each other. And I'm glad you're here. And I'm not sure if anyone else is going to show up, as I see that there are others showing up. So that's good. So I'm just going to go ahead.
I was just going to say, Maria, I put my contact information in the chat, so feel free to look me up or add your contact information and I can look you up. We'll connect.
Welcome to our latest person joining us, Zoom user. And yeah, so let me just share my screen and we're going to officially kick this off in a way that, okay, I don't need this anymore. And we'll officially start. So, welcome to the Here to There show. I am your host, Luc Bouchard. This is our 5th installment of the Here to There show. I'm very appreciative that we have people joining us today. I know people will kind of join after the fact. And the Here to There show is really meant, as I already mentioned, about engagement and being able to have connections with people and just kind of, let's connect and let's have a conversation. So the first hour is going to be is generally where I interview my guest for the show, and that's Mary Louise today, and she's joining us. And I'm drawing a blank as to where you're joining us from, Mary Louise. You're
Virginia in the U.S.
Virginia. Oh, great. And I didn't say your last name because I always butcher them. So can you give us your last name so I don't get that wrong?
It is Munger.
Munger. Okay, I might have said that on that. So let's get started. I'm going to stop sharing the screen and we're going to get going on the Here to There show. So I'm going to rearrange so I have stuff out of the way. And so we're going to start with just basically you and I having a conversation and getting to know each other. So you're in Virginia, as you mentioned. Are you originally from Virginia, or have you lived in many other places in the United States?
I am originally from Virginia, born and raised. I now live 15, 20 miles from where I grew up. So haven't traveled that far living wise from home, but I have enjoyed opportunities to travel and see parts of the world and look forward to more. But living, I really enjoy the Shenandoah Valley because a few hours from the beach, living in the mountains. I actually did a hike yesterday with a rock scramble, which was kind of like climbing rocks. And so there's just a little bit of everything not far from me. So it kind of makes it hard to want to leave where I am. And it's warm weather. It is 74 degrees here right now, almost middle of November. So can't complain.
We've got 6 inches of snow on the ground.
Yeah. Why would I want to leave here?
Yeah, it showed up on Friday. I showed up on Saturday, and it was the type of snow. It was like a spring snowfall. It was wet and heavy. I mean, usually we get that like when we have this massive dump in March, April, more April, maybe sometimes in May we'll get this. It doesn't stay. It's just this big wet, and so shoveling it is like it was really heavy and that. So yeah, I can appreciate the warm weather, and if you don't embrace winter, it can really suck living here.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that's always cold. So when it gets cold here, I'm not a fan. But especially seeing right now people that have snow, or for me, the comparable is like seeing New York City in the winter, and I'm going, no, I'm good right here in Virginia, right where I am.
No way am I going to move out of that. Yeah.
Right.
And it's interesting because people talk about, how can you live with the cold and how can you kind of embrace, be in that and whatnot. And, we generally don't have tornadoes. We generally don't have, hurricanes that come through, anything like that. And we do have tornadoes occasionally, but they're not norm on that. So, yeah. So
that's the same here though too. So that's another perk, is we typically don't have much natural disasters, I guess, here. So that makes it a perk as well.
Right. And you said you're really close to the ocean. Like, how far away is that for you?
3.5, 4 hours.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it's
A little
still a bit,
trek, but not too
yeah,
far. Yeah, yeah.
not too bad. Okay. Yeah, it's like getting
Yeah.
to the mountains us for here is about that far away because we're really quite close. So tell me about your background and your what kind of coaching you do. And let's just start with start with that and move from there.
Okay, great. So I am a certified health and life coach. My focus is more on the health piece, but when you work with someone, and my preferred route is one-on-one, because then you can really get to work with that person and do more of a deep dive into specifics for them and ways to help them make changes. But when you work with somebody on their health, you also work with them on their life. And when they're making changes for their health, their family is affected positively, but they are affected. So, the health piece comes, or the life piece and the working with the people in their family comes into play. And so we do a lot of the life pieces as well. And I got started on this journey about 3 years ago when I was, aging, maturing, whatever you want to call it, and noticed some changes for myself and wanted to help slow down the hands of time as much as I could. And so got started on my own personal journey, and then really started looking around. And the more you kind of get into something like that, the more you learn, the more you see, the more that's kind of opened up to you. And just the obesity epidemic, and the kids aren't getting out and moving and active like we were, with riding bikes and playing and entertaining ourselves and things like that. And so it really tugged on my heart to be able to begin helping others and kind of giving back, and also kind of helping people and educating people that it doesn't have to be hard. Like, we always think, oh, you have to diet, oh, you have to do this, oh, you have to give up that. And, we look at the negatives and the things that you're getting rid of and taking away and taking out. And I was able to do it a more positive way, and I wanted to share that. And so after 20 years in the financial industry, I stepped away a few months ago and said, okay, I'm doing this. I'm going to coach full time. The world needs me. The world needs this gift. And as one of my business coaching mentors said, people are dying because I'm and other coaches are not able to reach them and to help them and to show them that, they don't have to be obese. They don't have to be unhealthy. They don't have to take prescriptions that unfortunately doctors are way too quick to write. And so it's definitely a passion and a desire for me just to be able to help others and to affect the world one person at a time, really.
You had said that the financial industry, like you were in banking, you were like.
So I was in banking. I worked my way through. I was a teller. I did the new accounts platform part. I was a branch manager. I was a commercial lending assistant. So kind of worked my way through the branch banking world. I went to work for one of here in Virginia, specifically, the courts. There's a circuit court, and then there's a general district court, and then there's a federal court. And so I worked for the circuit court, which is like the mid-level of the court. And I was the comptroller there, which is similar to a controller in the public sector. But since it was the private government, I was the comptroller, so did financials there. And then I worked for a financial advisor for a couple of years.
Okay.
So,
like a World Financial or Primerica type of thing, or was it?
It was through Edward Jones.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And what similarities do you see between health and wellness and the financial world? There's got to be some overlap. There's got to be some things that
definitely. I would say from my seat, one, you're being able to help people, and you're being able to give them a sense of peace, whether it's financial peace or health peace. in their life. For the individuals, it's one step at a time, you know, $1 at a time invested, one vegetable at a time eaten, if you will,
Right.
you know.
Right.
It's kind of that, like, one choice at a time, one decision at a time, you know. Just there's a common saying in the coaching world is that small hinges swing big doors. And if you think about, like, the biggest door you've ever seen, there were, you know, 3, 4, whatever hinges that moved that door, that got it to do what it did. And so when you start thinking of your goal, or whether it's financial, whether it's health, whether it's life, whatever it is, if you think of that as like the big door, but you think of your actions and what you're doing as those small hinges, those small steps are going to swing that big door. They're going to get you to that big goal. So I would say that that's a lot of those similarities. And a lot of times we look at the big goal and get overwhelmed and just go, there's no way I can save and create $1 million. There's no way I can do whatever I need to do for my health and lose 30 pounds, and just, you know, not getting stuck and frozen and looking at what can I do today? What can I do right now? And I would say that's the biggest crossover between the two worlds, definitely.
Yeah, because in both industries, you're kind of getting them to see the long view, and
Right.
kind of see, as opposed to the immediate type of, you know, on that. So is there a mindset that comes with people that can see the long view, do you think?
That mindset is definitely a big piece. I would say it's something that you can train yourself and kind of work towards. It's not oh, I don't have it, oh, you know, I can't achieve that. It's definitely something that you can work yourself to, such as, you know, if somebody is a very pessimistic person, they can retrain that. They're not labeled a pessimist for life. You know, it can be changed and it can be retrained. Our brain is a muscle, and you just have to work it.
Right. So, but it would go without saying, though, if you have to say it goes without saying, then it really doesn't go without saying. But it would seem that there's something about that willingness to do something different that is integral to you having success with people, right? Like there's that, I would say that would be one of the biggest things that would need to be there and whatnot.
Definitely. You have to be at that point where you're ready for change. You're tired of being tired. You're tired of, if we're looking at money, if you're tired of not having money, and ready to make a change and do things a little different, because obviously whatever you've been doing isn't working.
Right. And they wouldn't, and if they are, but that's the thing, is there's a recognition that it's not working. So you have to do something different for that. Yeah, absolutely. It reminds me of that joke. How many psychiatrists does it take to change a light bulb? Only one if light bulb wants to change, right? I'm also,
exactly.
Yeah, and I think willingness is really a huge part of it, or desire to do it. There was I heard like 25 years ago, I heard of a service in a city like 3 hours south of here, where they worked with very difficult adolescents and had a crazy success rate of like 85% success rate with these very difficult adolescents. And it's just like, no one makes that kind of, like, how the hell do you make a claim that kind of success rate, especially with the demographic they're dealing with? And they're literally taking the kids out into the wilderness and basically teaching them survive and things like that. And it was, how do you boost this kind of rate? Well, they're able to actually how do you boast this kind of rate? Well, the criteria for joining the program was they had to want to be there. So half the work was done because it was just like, we'll take you home. If you're not happy, we'll take you back to the city. You don't have to be here. No one's making you be here. And that was the biggest thing, is that their point of entry is that they were already convinced. And, you know, when, you know, how are most people, when they come to see you as a health professional, do they have that? Are they good to go, or do you need to somehow help them along the way with that?
They have that drive to make the change. It's not always an easy transition, if you will. There are definitely still things that need to be worked on. For example, the areas that I mainly focus on are nutrition, fitness, and positive mindset. And I have a client that the nutrition is good, the fitness is 50% probably, but we've noticed that it's the mindset piece that needs the biggest work at this point. And so, that is our focus. And you learn that when you are interacting with somebody one-on-one every week, and you can kind of see what is the weakest link, if you will.
Right.
And so you just kind of work on that. And even if we make strides in the right direction, there may be work that still needs to be done. And, we can all always continue to grow and excel. And, you and I are both kind of in that industry. And as we work with others, we are also working on ourselves, because that makes the best leader is somebody that's willing to say, I'm not done learning and there's more that I can learn. So yeah, definitely there's still work for them to do and grow, but they definitely have, of course, gotten to that point where they're ready for change. They're ready for something to be different. And because people that aren't, they're those trolls, if you will, that sit back and they watch, and they just, to themselves or whoever that will listen, I guess, are still complaining, oh, I can't get the weight off, and I can't do this, and I can't do that. And unfortunately, they're happy. They're happy where they are. They just don't know it. They want something different, but they aren't ready to do something different to create the difference. And those people aren't going to hire a coach to work one-on-one with. And, they'll come up with reasons or excuses and things like that. And, I can't, I won't, that type of thing. And so it does take a special person to work with a coach, that's for sure. But, it's almost kind of a good thing, because I do not want to drag somebody week to week if they're not willing to commit, and if they're not willing to do the work. You have to be willing. I work with them 1 hour once a week. They have to be willing to do the things the other days, the other hours that we're not together. So
right.
They definitely have to be at a certain place in their life.
Yeah. It's interesting because there seems to be a trend with laser coaching. I mean, on that, have you heard of this? These laser focused meetings, like 15 minutes long.
I've heard some about that. I'm more of a relationship person, and it may be, I would maybe say a difference in male and female, because I feel like men are probably more, tell me what to do, I'll go do it. Okay, we're done. See you later. Where I feel like, as a generality, I hope it doesn't offend anybody, but I feel like women are probably more relational, and we enjoy kind of talking things out. And because I feel like if I gave another woman a direction, but yet having a conversation of, a little bit longer, I could kind of peek into her world a little bit more, and maybe be a little better able to say, well, how about this, or try this, or that type of thing. So that's where I would have to say it's probably maybe more of a gender personality difference.
Yeah, there's certainly, so I have a background in doing some gender studies, but I I had a role where I was the provincial coordinator for the Alberta Father Involvement Initiative. It's quite the it's quite the long term, but my job was to look at, can we define what it means to be a father in a jurisdiction as big as Alberta, because it's our provinces are massive and whatnot. So there's a lot of looking at the differences between how men parent versus how women parent and their point of entry. And so a lot of that is, I think, what you're saying is not off the mark from my experience. And just even how men are with each other, men tend to do things together and then have conversations this way, whereas women are more prone to sit and cross from each other and look at each and whatnot, right? So when men will process or they'll talk about stuff, we might be watching a sporting events or doing something or talking like that, right? So it's a very different kind of point of entry about those interactions and whatnot. And so do you find, or is your practice mostly with women, or do you have an equal mix? Which gender comes to you?
The kind of rule of thumb is an 80-20. You try to kind of aim for 80% of your ideal client, and then 20% would be kind of whoever else wants to work with you that you want to also work with. And that's another big thing I would say with coaches is, everybody thinks that I want to work with everybody and anybody that's willing to send money my way. And that's not true. And that's not true of most coaches, I would say, because when you have that initial conversation, I'm interviewing them as a prospective client, and they're also interviewing me to see, if we would work well together and that type of thing. And so for me, my ideal client would be a female, because I just feel like there's a better relatable factor there. And I am a wife and I am a mom, so that also comes into play for me with a female. But that's not to say that I wouldn't be willing to work with a male or a female that doesn't have a spouse or doesn't have kids and that type of thing. But there's definitely a more relational factor there if you have similar life experiences. But again, if we're a good fit, I'm not opposed to working with people that have other demographics. But again, it just seems to work well if you have similar life experiences and are kind of coming from similar places. Now, for me, my child is 16, and so after the school year and another one, she's off to college. So for me at that point, I may not be able to relate as well to a mom with kids at home. I may be more relatable to empty nesters and moms or wives that have kids in college and that type of thing, and maybe looking forward to retirement and things like that. And so for me right now in my life stage, that's kind of where I sat. But I'm certainly not going to say I wouldn't work with somebody from another life point. But again, it makes it a little bit easier to kind of relate and to know the struggles that she has. And, like I said, I somewhat recently worked 9 to 5 days a week. And so I can understand the wife and mom that's going to work and trying to fit in, exercise and trying to fit in meal planning for the family and be there for the kids and be there for the spouse and, all of those pieces where, maybe another coach wouldn't be as relatable with them, or again, maybe I wouldn't be as relatable with somebody else in a similar circumstance. So.
Right. And, there's certainly something that you get what I've gone through. You get what you understand my reality on that, and I think there's some there is a potential to be able to over-identify with someone also on that. So there is that balance, and I don't need to be an ex-heroin addict to be effective addictions counselor, but there is something about the fact that I know going through that and type of stuff, right? So that kind of makes on that. So the premise of the Here to There show is people are here, they don't want to be here, and they want to be there. So it's really, how do we move people from point A to point B? So the question I'd like to ask is, so what does here look like for that so for that, if we're just going to go with your identified ideal client, so it's it's a married woman. Is it generally, are they in a relationship, not necessarily married?
Either or, a live-in relationship, I would say, because there's that dynamic there of having somebody that's living with you that you're, doing meals for and working the timeline around and that type of thing.
Right. So they're in a kind of committed long-term relationship that may have a marriage certificate or not on that. And so walk us through what that looks like. So they're around, what's the window of, because this is for people who are going to see this recording down the road and not only for today who's on the call. So give us a snapshot of what they look like what, what they're kind of going through.
Yeah, I would say that she has had probably a couple kids, and they're elementary, middle, early high school, maybe, kind of in those stages. And again, has a significant other that lives with her, and she's seen the diets, seen the weight loss successes that people share on social media, and kind of wants that, but yet is like, I just can't. And the deprivation that comes with seeing that, and knowing
seeing that on the social media, and how what internal dialogue they have with that, what's in their noise, all that kind of stuff. Yes,
exactly. And she knows that the world we're surrounded with the diet culture, and you can't have this, you can't have that, and what you've got to give up to be able to lose the weight. And she's tired of seeing and hearing about, take this away, you can't have that, and all of that, like the no that the world tends to put towards us when we want to lose weight. And she's tired and feels frozen, feels maybe hopeless, helpless, just kind of at a really low, rough spot. And she also thinks that a health coach is something that celebrities have, and the talk show hosts like the Oprahs of the world, things like that. She thinks that, oh, that's not for me, that's not obtainable, that's out of my reach, really, And so it's really neat to be able to be that person to show women that you can have it, and that your health is worth investing in. Because when you invest in it now and you start to turn that time around and slow it down, then your body is pretty forgiving. And I think we kind of take that for granted. One of the best examples is like when you see that somebody has smoked and their lungs are in bad shape, and then they quit smoking and the lungs regenerate and can kind of come back. Maybe not 100%, but it's pretty forgiving and will regenerate. And our body is much the same, that if you start doing things differently, if you start fueling your body differently, which is food, and if you start moving your body better, more, then your body is going to make a big change. And, the other piece of that too is like we talked about with your brain. If you change your thoughts and you change your thinking from that negative to, positive thinking and gratitude and gratefulness and thankfulness, then you're going to notice a big difference. And it's just, again, like I said, those three factors are such big parts of your health. And I would dare say they're all three equally important. I compare it to like a three-legged stool. If you've ever seen a three-legged stool, if one of the legs is gone, you can't sit on the stool.
That's right. Not for long.
That's right. So that's what I say with nutrition, fitness, and a positive mindset. And the other thing that people are amazed to learn is when you live high stress, your body does not let go of weight and your body, it's very primal, primitive, and like caveman-ish, that if you're high stress, then your body is going to think, oh my gosh, what's wrong? What's out to get me? What's after me? And it's going to hold on to that weight and not let it go, because it's that fight or flight reaction. And so, that's another important piece. So again, kind of back to what you were asking with, where is she now? She's kind of at that point of defeat, if you will, of I can't have anything better. I am, wearing all of these hats. I don't have time for me because I'm busy giving time to everyone else. And, it's nice to be able to step in at that point and say, did you know that 30 minutes of movement will make such a big difference in your life? Did you know that writing in a journal or being quiet and having silent time or meditation and self-care, things like that, for 30 minutes is going to make such a big difference? And did you know that by just simply increasing the vegetables that you eat at a meal is going to make a huge difference to your body? And so it's those things that it's like, it doesn't have to be hard. Let me tell you how this can be easy. Let me tell you how you can make those small changes that are going to get you to where you want to be, whether that's over here at a 30-pound loss, or whether that's over here at, with moms, so often you hear, I want to be able to run with my kid and play soccer. I want to be able to ride bikes with my kid. Moms are so motivated by wanting to keep up with their kids and just be a good mom and feel good and be able to run and play and do the things that their kids want them to do. And they have that feeling, they feel bad that they can't keep up. They feel bad that they go to run with their kid and then they've got to stop and catch their breath, and they're, short of breath, and they feel bad and things like that. And it's just, moms, surprisingly, it's not a vanity thing. It's, they just want to be a better mom. They want to be able to play with their kid and keep up with their kid. And they want to feel sexy to their significant other, even if the significant other thinks that they still look great and they adore them. She wants to feel good when she looks in the mirror. It's not about the significant other and the way they feel towards them. It's the way that she feels when she looks in the mirror.
I was actually wondering if there's part of this that is they're worried that they're going to be replaced by younger, more, younger and looks better. If that's how much they're worried
Right.
about the fact that they're going to be usurped by someone else, and so they're motivated to, keep their man happy. Is that a big? How much does
I
that play
would
into it?
say what more comes into play is she wants to look like she did when he fell in love with her, or she fell in love with her, if it's a same-sex couple. I think it's more that she wants to feel and look the way that she did at the beginning of the relationship, because at this point, again, maybe there's been a couple kids that she's carried, and just the lack of movement in time, from the time that they started the relationship to now. And I think it's more that I want to look like I did when we got together, and I want to look like I did when they fell in love with me, and that type of thing, than the fear of being replaced, I guess. And again, it's like I said, the significant other doesn't necessarily have to say or do or whatever something to make them feel that way. It's just women tend to go, I don't look the same, I don't feel the same. And for women, if you don't feel the same way, you don't act the same way. And so it's definitely, I would say for her, it's, I want to feel and look the way I did then. And, unfortunately, when you have a significant other in the picture and you have kids in the picture, and a job and, you know, whatever else other hats come in, then she ends up somewhere down the list as a priority.
Right.
And so, you know, the biggest thing is, and one of the examples that I have heard that's so true is when you're on an airplane and they talk about the oxygen mask dropping down, and you put it on yourself first and then your loved one after that. And it's the same thing with your health and taking care of yourself. You take care of yourself first, then you can better take care of your significant other. Then you can better take care of your kids. Then you can better be a better employee, or, you know, if you volunteer and things like that, you're coming from a better place at that point. So it's not selfish to be the best version of you that you can be and to take care of yourself.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's something that I've you know, this is kind of cliche. They're kind of simple statements, so we're just gonna, in case anyone takes objection to it, and they are simplistic. But one of them things is that, you know, when it comes to the genders, what do you know, it's often said that women want to change men and men want their wives to be, or their girlfriends to be how they met them. Like, you know, they have this, does that, any of those statements hold any merit for you or any value, or but do you agree with them?
Right. I feel like that's a pressure we put on ourselves. I don't know that that is true, because I feel like, you know, if the people are still in love with one another and the wife has given the significant other, you know, 2 children into the family, then there is a level of understanding and expectation, because when you have children, your body goes through a lot.
Yeah.
And I think there's a heightened level of intimacy and connection to that person as well. And so I think women and wives put an expectation on themselves that the significant other doesn't necessarily.
So that almost, I believe both genders, we both have our own curses that come with our gender. That sounds like a curse that women would self-imposed or whatnot, that they have this belief, or it reminds me, and I've had several like women who I really respect and talk about, or they've mentioned this on a couple, you know, women I know have mentioned this, that, you know, there's this persona that women often get into of they have to do it all. They're responsible for making sure everything's happening. You certainly cannot send pre-made cupcakes to school. They have to be homemade, or, you know, cake bought, even a cake mix would be kind of okay. You have to do it all. And, you know, do you think women see that it's their responsibility to make sure the family is whole and successful?
Definitely. We put a lot of pressures on ourselves to be everything, do everything. It's not okay to delegate. It's, you know, things like that. Like you said, with the baked goods, it can't be store bought. We have to make it ourselves. And, you know, the Valentines that go to school, they can't be store bought. We have to make them at home, and, you know, things like that. And they're now called the Pinterest moms.
Oh, I don't know this term. I don't know this.
Yes,
Pinterest
yes.
mom. What does that mean?
The moms and that think that everything has to be made from ideas on Pinterest, and it has to be homemade, and it has to be picture perfect, and it's a whole new level of perfection and
Craziness.
stress. Yes. I quickly discovered I was not a Pinterest mom, and that just had to be okay.
So herein lie, I think, is an excellent example of how your opinion would be more valid than if I was a health coach, and, you know, I think that this is where it would be, I think, valid for you to say to your clients, hey, I get the pressure you're under. And it would be like, I think it's like a woman saying, "Oh, I understand the pressure of a man," I'm saying, "No, I don't think you do, because I don't understand the pressure of a woman." I cannot say, me walking down the street, I have a single iota clue of how unsafe I would be on a regular basis, how I'd feel, that I'm having to be vigilant to, like, I don't know that experience. I'm 6'2", I'm a big guy, right? I very seldom have ever felt threatened in my life. And the times I have is when I brought them on because I picked a fight, on that. So I don't have that idea of what it's like to be constantly vigilant and kind of afraid. And so some of those things that women have to go through on that, it's lost on me. And likewise, I don't think women could really understand what we have to go through, the pressures and on that. And it's not a competition. It's just the fact that I think I think there's something about a man to saying to a man, it's bullshit and I don't buy it. Whereas a woman says that to a man, it's like, well, you don't know my reality. Right. And then there's this dismissal that we do to women when we kind of put them in their place, that kind of stuff that men do on a regular basis. But there is something about your own gender being able to say, I recognize that what you're going through, I understand that, but there's a way through that. It doesn't have to be this way on that. So that's where I think it's a better fit in those regards.
Definitely. And women put standards and expectations on themselves, and they put them there kind of in competition with other women, if you will. One of the funniest things that I informed my husband of, we've been together for 2 years, and he didn't realize that when women get dressed up to go out, they're getting dressed to go out for other women, because they want other women to look and go, oh, look at her outfit, look at her hair, it's not for the other men. It's not in an attempt to, pick up somebody. It's not an attempt to catch a guy's eye. It's for the other women, and it's to be like admired and, oh, look at her. Look, she obviously works out, or,
right.
She did her hair and things like that.
Yeah.
And, it's pros and cons with it, that we set high expectations and let ourselves down because we don't meet the mark that we set to be in that competition. And if you can use it as a positive motivator, that's great. But when it becomes a negative, then that's when it's bad. And
it's soul killing. That's when it's soul killing, because you just
right,
absolutely.
And we see it in the media as well, as all women are supposed to be a size 4. No, we're not. We're not all built to be a size 4. And it's just like you said, with you being 6'2", you're not meant to be a small weight. You've got to carry more weight to carry that height, to carry that stature. And women are the same way. Our bodies are different. We're not all meant. God, or whatever you believe creates us, did not intend us to all be a skinny size 4. We're whatever our bodies are meant to hold and carry. And, that's the other thing that I share with my clients and anybody that'll listen, is that, we're all different, and our bodies are all meant to carry a different weight. And the most important thing is that you're being healthy, and that you're feeding yourself well, and that you're moving your body well, and that you're thinking good thoughts. And so, that expectation and level of, oh, I'm supposed to be a size 4 is just unrealistic. And it creates a new level of pressure and expectation that's 9 times out of 10 probably not going to be obtained.
Yeah.
And so it's just setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, in a huge way, and a lot of emotional turmoil, because you're living in that self-imposed stress. The first time I ever heard about the women dressing up and for on that was actually it's a song by Van Morrison, Wild Night. And in that, he says, all the women are getting dressed up for each other. And when I heard this, like and this was back probably in the 90s that I heard this, and I talked to my friend, because I have more, historically, I have more female friends than male friends. It just works out that way. And that's not that hasn't caused issues in relationships. But yeah, I asked one of my oldest and longest friends, Amy, I says, what do you mean women are getting dressed up for each other? And she said exactly what you're saying, is that they're doing it to basically show off to the other women on that. And I think that the reason why men misunderstand that is because what lens do we put on? Well, if I would do that, that must mean I want to go hit on other women, right? So if you're going to do that, must mean you want to go hit on other guys, right? That very egocentric. I see your world through my lens, and
Right.
some problems with that. So
and as we both know, that will definitely affect a lot of things, because we all have lenses that we see the world through, and the way that you see, just like you just said, is not the way that somebody else sees. And so, yeah, that's one of the biggest surprises or misconceptions, I guess, that I feel like guys have, is that they just assume and just think that, oh, well, who's she dressing up for?
Right.
It's like,
Absolutely.
hold up, buddy, because, I hate to disappoint you. It's for the other women. And no, I'm not interested in picking them up. I'm just interested in their admiration. And, you know.
Yeah. And then there's like confusion. What do you closet? That type of stuff on that, because it really is this, well, in many ways it is mistrust. And it's that fear of that somehow somebody's going to, take away, that they're going to steal your partner from you because they're more attractive or something, God knows what on that, right? But it really does speak to that inherent self-esteem issues on that. So, that, where do you think that comes from, that and I'm just going to use the word for this conversation, that curse of I have to do it all and I can't ask for help? Where does that get fostered? Is that like from their parent, from their mother, from like if it's pronounced across the board? Because Canadian women, who I first learned it from, have the same thing. Mothers, I have to do it all. I cannot be the one that sends the pre-made cupcakes to school or any of that stuff. Where's that born from?
I would say that it started, I guess, when, the moms, wives didn't have to have a full-time job, and they could, in theory, do it all. And they were at home, and they could clean the house, and they could make the homemade baked goods, and, do, in theory, all the things, because they didn't have that 40 hours of the week taken from them with, working a full-time job. And as we've shifted from, one income households, if you will, into two, the expectation and the pressure has remained, where it was like, okay, so I now have 40 less hours. What gets to be taken away? What do I get to let go of? And no, that didn't happen.
Right, because
we're going to add that.
yeah. Because we do know from a division of labor within the homes, women still do the lion's share, and that still goes on. And I think certain cases that's self-imposed, others that's externally imposed from the spouse, those type of things. So that certainly that does go on in many ways. It's interesting. I was recently reminded, my client in Ireland was, he told me about this. He goes, I don't know if this is urban myth, urban legend or not. So I had to do some research. But when General Mills came out with cake mixes, just the whole idea of doing a cake mix, and that was, I think, that was after there was a shift to sell to women who are the homemakers because they're at home. So then there's a whole new market we can sell to, and one of them was these pre-made cakes. And have you heard the story? Are you familiar with this?
I'm not. No, I'm interested to hear.
So they developed a product. General Mills developed a product, put it under Betty Crocker, about this instant cake, and it failed miserably because all you had to do is add water to it. And they were actually shocked how poorly it was being done, because the cakes were tasty, they were good, the focus groups, but it wasn't selling. So what General Mills did is they changed the recipe and you had to add an egg to actually do it, and the water, and then it was on that. And they asked psychologists, psychiatrist probably at the time, but they asked some mental health person, why is this going on? And that is they figured out after talking to women that they actually felt the housewives or the women staying at home actually felt like they were lying to their husbands, because it was like, this is so, and their guests who were coming over, oh, you must have spent all day on this cake. And it's just like, well, no. Remember that do you remember that commercial where they made what was it, puff wheat squares or Rice Krispies, and they threw some flour on their face to make it look like it was effortful, that type of thing, right? So it usurped, it totally removed the role of the mother as being her value within the home, and they were doing it because they felt like it was a lie and it was sham that they had to. And as soon as you made it a bit harder, the perception of the product went up, and they sold. Well, they still sell today.
Right. That's so interesting that the psychology, like you said, of, oh, well, I put an egg in it and I put water in it, so therefore I'm did cooking more than just adding water.
Yeah, and I'm actually baking now.
I've actually baked something, right? Yeah. Exactly, and yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
But it's amazing, those things that have come along because of women working outside of the home as well, and trying to help. Because I guess the understanding is there that you get to do more.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
We're not going to take anything off, but we'll make it a little bit easier. And
right.
What great marketing and what great insight to see that, oh, well, we need to do this for women to be able to try to do it all. Yeah.
Right.
And now we have like robotic vacuums that we don't even have to like push around the house anymore.
That will go and find its way back to the charging station. Yeah.
Right. So there's conveniences that have come, but yeah, definitely, like you said, there's still that feeling of I have to do it all and then some, and hopefully things will continue to kind of, people will split the responsibilities and things like that. And, especially now with homeschooling and virtual schooling and not knowing kind of the future with that. And that's another thing that has just been added on, and nothing has really been taken away, is, virtual school. When you've got kids at home that are, your mom is now the IT person.
Right.
And, is making, she's the lunch lady now too. And so it just, in the past, what's it been, 9 months, the role has gotten, if anything, that much harder. And, you look at, what do you pay a chef if you want a personal chef? Well, that's what mom does. If you want a housekeeper, what do you pay them? Well, that's what mom does. And, all of that goes on that she's expected of. And, maybe she is now virtually working full time in addition to, and just, it's hard for moms and women. And, they, again, back around to the thing of, unfortunately, then she tends to make herself lower on the list as a priority. But by doing that, she's burning herself out that much more and making herself that much less, to give to the family. It's like they say, if you keep giving from a cup and pouring out, eventually it's going to run dry.
Right.
You have to pour back in and give and feed and fuel back in, and you can't just keep giving and making yourself worn out that much more.
One of my first guest speaker in for the Widen Your Gaze, which is coming, they come out on Fridays. She did on what was her talk on? Oh, imposter syndrome. But Vireo was a huge proponent of give from an overflowing cup. Not from a cup like, oh, you give when it's overflowing. You give when you have enough. It gives when you, and the problem with that is you have to say no, and say, no, I'm not doing that right now. I'm going to do this for me first. I'm going to take my time for my yoga practice, my meditation, and that kind of stuff. And so how do women reconcile themselves? Because that's one more should that they're being told. You should take care. So they should on themselves all that much more. So I could just imagine this, this kind of like, they see that they have to take care of themselves, but then where are they leveraging that time from when they already go from the word, from when they wake up to when they go to bed, and be that super mom, right? So how do you help women reconcile that kind of being pulled in two, because I'm sure I would lay good money you're saying to them, you have to take care of yourself.
Right, definitely. And that, one of the things that I know as a mom was the expectation or the pressure to be a classroom helper for your child, or to be part of the PTA, or all the things. And the best example that I give to people is my daughter is now in 11th grade, and I remember when she was in kindergarten and I went to a PTA meeting at Parent Teacher Association. I'm sure up in Canada they have similar organizations and things like that.
Yeah.
And I went to a PTA meeting, and working full-time single mom, and I went to a meeting and was just like, I can't commit to this meeting and being part of, a board or, whatever. And kind of decided for myself at that point that I will volunteer when there's events that you need help. If you need, Teacher Appreciation Week was a big one, to get parents in and do lunchroom duty and things like that. And then there was a field day at the end of the year where they needed parent help to run stations and things like that. And, I decided at that point that I can volunteer at different points and help out at different times. And if there's money needed, to contribute for a cause or something like that, I can do that. But I decided at that point, right then and there, that I'm not going to commit myself to regular meetings or serving on a board and things like that. So I would say, and as I say to my clients, that you have to kind of pick level of importance and you have to recognize that there's only so many hours in a day. We're not given more time. It is, you have 24 hours in a day. How are you going to spend that? And how is best, again, as you said, filling your cup, and to the point that you have an overflowing cup? How many times can we say that our cup is overflowing because of decisions we've made? And just kind of, picking priority and what's important. And it's okay to say no. And when I said no to being part of the PTA and attending regular meetings, somebody else stepped in and said yes. It did not fall apart because Mary Louise did not say yes. That's another thing, another misconception.
Yeah,
we
and
so
that's
often think, if I don't do it, nobody will. Guess what? Somebody will.
Yeah.
And another example too. 3 months ago, when I left full-time employment and a financial job, guess what? A few weeks later, there was somebody else in my seat. That office did not stop running because Mary Louise was not there.
Right.
We so often think that, whether it's whether we need to think that, or whether it's like a burden we put on ourselves that, I have to do it because nobody else will. Yeah, they will.
Well, it smacks of, I'm reluctant to use the word because it has a negative connotation, but it does have this overtones of martyrdom. It's kind of like, if I don't do it, no one's, or or it won't be done as well as me. So, that type of stuff. And that's that, I'm not sure that's some sort of belief that you're the one that's going to hold it all together. And when it, so was it a bit of a cold snap to you, or a cold shot of water in the face going, it's going to continue without me just fine? Was that hard?
For me, no, because I've always kind of been that person that, like the analogy of the tombstone, when you see the year born, the year passed, and you see the little dash, and it's like, okay, what happened there? Right. And, when you pass on, who's going to be most affected? Who's going to remember you most? Who did you most impact? that's your significant other, your kids, your parents, your siblings, you know, close friends, things like that. It's not your job. You know, if you get hit by a bus, again, they're going to replace that person. They may miss you, but it's going to keep going. That spot's going to be filled. You know, if you make the box cake instead of from scratch cake, the baked goods are still going to be sold. They're still going to be consumed. You know, we tend to put that expectation of, again, like you said, nobody can do it as good as me, and if I don't do it, nobody will. And if it's an ego thing, then we need to snap ourselves out of it, because we're burning ourselves out.
Right.
And you know, go ahead.
Well, sorry. I was just really excited about it because it reiterates the point about the fact that, you know, if you calling a woman on that, I think would have far better impact on them than a guy saying that. It's just like me saying to a guy, what you're doing is over the top, it's abusive, and it's not okay.
Right.
To your girlfriend, or your children, or your wife, it's not okay. And that's very different, because if a woman says that to the guy, it's like, well, what are you on the rag? What is that time of them? Like, total dismissal of the fact that you don't know. But say that one guy call out another guy saying it's crap, it's bullshit. That's a whole other thing on that. And saying, no, don't tell me your life's so stressful you don't know how to deal with that. I get the stress. And
right.
Unfortunately, I think there's this acquiescing that men do to other men. I'm not going to speak for women. It's just kind of like, we're just, you know, it's the bro code bullshit of the fact that I'm not going to actually say it's not okay, because we don't want to get them upset with us, right? And
I feel like there's, with women, I feel like, and I think I see there is a shift of, you know, I don't have to be the Pinterest mom anymore. I'm more of a Amazon mom, you know, can we order it and have it shipped to the door type of thing. So I see that, and I hope that that is a common trend, and that women are kind of, you know, having a revolution of their own, that it's okay. We don't have to do this. We don't have to be, you know, a Betty Crocker and have everything be perfect in the June Cleaver of the world as we knew. And
Irma
things
Bobak,
like that,
yeah.
that it's right,
Yeah.
that it's okay. And you know, I hope that that is a change, and that women are realizing that it's okay to not have to try to be perfect, and that you can, you know, give yourself some grace in areas and not have to do everything and be everything for everyone.
Yeah. No
And you know, you can kind of narrow that vision field, and really, like I said, look at who matters most and who's most important. And it's not a bad thing, and it's not selfish, and it's okay.
Right.
You know, you can take care of yourself, you can take care of your significant other, you can take care of your kids, and have that be the high priority, and let everything else kind of be you know, lower on the priority list, and doesn't have to be perfect. And you can delegate it out. You can have somebody come and clean your house if that's your least favorite chore, or, you know, whatever, and things like that. And so I hope that that is a shift and a change, that we're all giving ourselves a little more grace. And, you know, I feel like in my social circle, you know, whether social media or in person, we're a little more vulnerable and sharing those weaknesses and those vulnerabilities, that, you know, it's not perfect. And I have low days, and I have days that I'm drained. But you know what? On the other end of that, I have days that I feel great, and I can take on the world, right. And that, you know, that type of thing. So again, that's what I see, and I hope that it's not just the circle that I have around me. I hope that it is a common theme in the world, that we are all kind of given a little more grace to each other.
Right, absolutely. I noticed that we're past the top of the hour. I do my video as a breach in between. There's some comments made. Scott made some comments. So Scott, I'm not ignoring you. We're gonna come back, and let's just check out this video from my that I made, and it's going to be number 5, I think, is which one. So let me just get it ready and put it over here. And okay, and almost ready to show this video. This video is 76 seconds long, so it won't be that big. And I am going to turn off my video camera and just go to the restroom really quick. So let me just share this right now. And if you're freaked out by skeletons, there's a skeleton in this, so you just want to know about that. So I need to share my sound and also screen sharing. And just wanting to see that it actually comes. Okay, I think it's good to play.
Welcome to Welcome to Bare Bones Videos. I'm Luc Bouchard, and this is my co-host Phil. Phil, what's our quote for the day? Comes from William Gibson. Yeah, I don't know who he is either. Before you diagnose yourself with depression or low self-esteem, first make sure that you are not, in fact, just surrounded by assholes. I like this guy. Phil, what do you have to say about that? Really? Okay. My only regret is that I didn't tell enough people to, you know, go piss up a rope. That's not what it says here, but that's what I'm going with. You have a favorite quote? Send it to us, and you'll get a picture of Phil and I mucking about. You take care.
Okay, so there we go. I'm on now. Yeah, so that was those videos I shot like 4 years ago, and it was a way to try and get more engagement. I was trying to actually get the different trying to do something different with my videos, and at the end I did 76 of them, and I released them every second day. But I was just trying to be creative and think of some way, and what led up to that was I was thinking about, so what kind of videos can I create that's going to get engagement? And I thought, what do people watch on the internet? And I thought they watch cat videos, and then my noise came out, you know, cats with laser beams and stuff like that. And then the noise in my head came, well, that's pretty, you know, I was very judgmental of it, and just, well, that's really stupid, and like that's just a waste of time. But then I thought, well, what are people really wanting when they look at that? Well, they want relief. They want a break from whatever's going on. They want to actually to be able to kind of have an interruption for their world. So I thought I would do something really kind of short. I had gone to my place where the church I went to at the time, and the pastor gave a quote by Anne Lamott, and the quote was, "You can get the monkey off your back, but the circus never leaves town." And so that was kind of like the impetus to think about different ways, and then the skeleton on that. So thank you for indulging me on that. I know it was a bit odd but on that. Okay, so we now have we're going to take some questions. If people want to, Scott, you had some questions or you had some comments. Would you care to unmute and make those comments?
I was just listening. I'm like, wow, people are like that. I would like a mix of the medium. I'm just in a opposite situation where nothing gets done. Not even if I ask, I gotta basically beg for anything to be done at all.
Are you talking about within your house, within your home? Okay.
But so they think they do so much, but she sits around on her phone all the time. And
so your perception is not the same.
Or basically we're with my mom who's not doing that well. So we do most of the shopping, cooking. She does cooking occasionally when she has to, but we do all her food shopping. So she has ham in the house to have tonight, but needed chopped meat. My wife went out for chopped meat. yet the milk's empty in the fridge and we have no milk. She thinks it's great. She ran out for chopped meat for her mom, but can't remember to buy milk. And like laundry and shop it. Laundry's about the only thing she does totally on her own. Half the time I do shopping because I want to get stuff or because we don't have anything. But like she says she does all the shopping, yet we are always, to me, you take the last of something, you replace it so it's in the cellar when we need it. She can't get that concept, or she thinks she does such a great job and we're always out of stuff. But it's like the one thing she has to handle and she can't. But anyway,
the best thing that helped at my household is there's an app called Our Groceries, and all 3 members of my household have access to that, and it's an ongoing grocery list. And so whoever ends up at the grocery store can buy whatever's on the list. And then once you buy it, you mark it off, and it's an ongoing, like I said, it's an app. So
unfortunately, unless her mom thinks of something, she won't share apps, or like, she'd rather blame somebody for not knowing something than like share a calendar to know where things are. Or tried putting her on Google calendars together so we know what's going on, so she knows what has to be done. Or she'll tell me something, or she wants to know what I'm doing. I'm like, if you look at the calendars there, but she refuses to do it. As long as she has her coloring book or her game on the phone, that's what she uses it for.
You know, and it's kind of interesting because unless people are motivated to do things, they're not going to. So if it's easier just to complain and have someone rescue them, why would I need the app, right? So it sounds like a frustrating situation, Scott, and you've mentioned that in the past. Some of the stuff that you're navigating on a daily basis. What's good in your life?
My children.
The Here to There show. Mary Louise, Luke.
The meetings I get to vent my frustration to, and some good conversations I have.
Yeah.
I find a lot of topics to be good, and it can be applied. And I think I said on other things, it can be applied both job search or personally related.
Right.
But if I bring it up, I don't know what I'm talking about.
It's funny, and there's a very good chance my ex-wife's not going to be on the call, or that she's not going to hear this. And by the way, I have an outstanding relationship with my ex-wife. We co-parent far better. Well, no, we're on the same page on many things. But I have this memory of her suggesting I do something, and we had been, I don't know, 3 or 4 years in the marriage. And it was just like, literally that's the stupidest, not the stupidest thing. It was just like, I out and out just disregarded it because she made the suggestion. And then a friend of mine suggested the same thing. And it was just like, that's a good suggestion. And then I realized because it came from my ex-wife, I had no value, but somebody else said it, and then all of a sudden it had some value. And that was my first glimpse into, the biases that we have with our spouses and the stuff we have to figure out with them on that. So, do you have any questions, Scott, for Mary Louise or other Zoom user? Because I've got several questions, I'm really enjoying. I can't believe how fast the first hour went, Mary Louise.
I know it did go fast.
Well,
and I saw in the chat where Scott was commenting, kind of like you did, Luke, with a lot of the issues or concerns that women and wives have. It's similar on the other side of the coin as well, and I think that's definitely something that we need to consider. And women have issues when they look in the mirror, and a lot of guys do too. And, just that, the negative look at ourselves that, and one of the best quotes that kind of has stuck with me because of being a mom, it's like, the things that you say to yourself, would you want your daughter saying to herself? Or someone saying it to her, type of thing. And it's so true that the things that we say to ourselves are far more beating down than anyone else would ever say to us. And men, a lot of times too, are not forgiven of those same type thoughts. And men see other men in the media and things like that and think, oh, I wish I had a 6-pack, or I used to have a 6-pack back in college and look at me now, type of thing. And the dad bod is real.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Actually, it's kind of funny you said that. I think it was last night, because women can often say that, oh, that lady's attractive or whatever else, but guys usually can't say that. And I mean, I'm secure enough in my sexuality and everything else. I mean, I'll admit I have no desire for other men, whatever else. I believe women are beautiful and wonderful and everything else. But there was an old episode of Who's the Boss? Am I frozen?
Nope.
Okay. There was an old episode of Who's the Boss with Tony Danza, and it was an episode where he was trying to sell something and he was in the shower, so he was just in a pair of shorts. And I actually made a comment. I'm like, I wish I had a body like that as a dad.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
Because my big regret is, like, I got a football. I want to go outside and play catch with my son, and I can't stand for that long. I've got sciatica and all, and if I go out there, I'll be out of shape for a few minutes. I have to sit, or I spend most of my days on a meeting, and then even at night, I'm trying to stay up late to get stuff done, and then I turn around. Oh, give me energy. I munch to keep myself busy and awake while working, and it's a snowball effect.
Yeah, cumulative.
So Scott, when I was talking about moms wanting to play with their kids and keep up with their kids, that really resonated with you, huh?
Oh yeah.
It's amazing how when we become a parent that our children motivate us in so many ways that they don't even realize. We want to have more to provide for them financially, physically, all of the things. And, we don't want them. I remember back when I was a kid, it was Kmart jeans and Rose's jeans, and you didn't have the name brand and things like that. And, when you have kids, you want so much for them. And, a lot of times we put ourselves on the back burner. Kids get the clothes first. We are like, oh, well, I'm good. I've got clothes. And then, that type of thing. And we put ourselves on that back burner. And, when it comes to our health, it's such a bad decision.
I kind of grew up with, we had the money for the clothes. It's just, a pair of sneakers is a pair of sneakers. You can go to get a pair of Kenny sneakers that are fine. Just as fine as a $100 pair of Reeboks or Nikes. You don't have to have the current pair of Nikes with a bump.
Well, that's good, because I remember when I was in school, if you had the store brand, it wasn't like having the Nikes or the Reeboks. So
we didn't care ourselves.
Opposite.
Now my wife will be like, oh, but a good pair of shoes, you shouldn't. My wife believes that if it's a good pair of shoes, it should feel perfect the first time you put your foot into it. The shoes don't require breaking period.
Oh,
which I've never heard of, but
right. It's there's another saying I heard a while ago, and this I think is true, is that women are the gatekeepers of morality in our society, and they're the ones that are supposed to basically the bastions of sensitivity and the gatekeepers of morality. And where we and where evidence shows that to be true is that if you look at this is a more basic subject, but if a child happens to die at the hands of their parent intentionally, so infanticide, some sort where you kill your children, it is deemed as a much greater crime against society if a woman does it versus a man. Like, it's just like that women should know better, whatnot. And so there's this moral aspect that women have for them on that. And I've actually made recommendations to women to use that, or I've I've talked to coaches about how to use that for with women. And you mentioned something about negative self-talk or what you say to that. So I have found a great motivator for many women, and it's also a motivator for men, but in a different way, is that when they're in bad relationships, saying to them, you would want your daughter to be in this kind of same bad relationship in the future? And it's like, no, of course not. Well, what are you modeling to them? But it's that idea that it's their responsibility for, the moral fiber, your compass being on north and that type of stuff. And that actually, I've seen that motivate women a lot to, when they're stuck, to go, oh, okay, now it's not, I'm not only paying the consequence of being in this bad relationship or abusive, now I'm setting up my daughter for the next generation, or I'm teaching my son that this is okay to do that. Do you find that ever is something you have to talk to women about, their responsibility for their children in their future?
It's such a great point, like you said, because women, there's that maternal, mothering, nurturing side of us that I would say it's definitely stronger with women than it is with men, and I feel like that's just one of the gender differences. And it's like you said, if you're in a abusive or unhealthy relationship, would you want your child to grow up and think that that's okay and that's acceptable? And if you've got a son, would you want your son to think that it's okay to be verbally abusive, physically abusive, and that type of thing? And it's that role model example. And like I mentioned earlier, my husband and I have been together for 2 years now, and it took me a while to really commit to a relationship. And one of the biggest motivators for me personally was my daughter, and wanting to be able to be that example, and wanting to be able to show her what a good, healthy relationship is. Because like I said, a couple years and she's off to college, and she is deciding what a positive, good relationship is. And with the health journey that I started a few years ago, she is deciding what good health looks like. And if I'm a dieter, well, then that translates to her that dieting is the way you go. If you want to lose 10 pounds, you diet, you deprive yourself, you lose the 10 pounds, and then you go back to whatever you were doing before. And it's unhealthy relationship. And that's what we, again, mothers, fathers, both, but I would say more mothers are being that example, positive or negative, to our children. And yeah, it's what do you want to show them? Do you want to show them how you can eat healthy, take care of your body, and still enjoy that slice of cake at a birthday party? Or just yesterday I had a blizzard from Dairy Queen, and I didn't guilt myself about it. I didn't feel bad about it. I enjoyed it. And you know what? Today I'm not having a Dairy Queen blizzard because I had it yesterday. I enjoyed it. It was what it was. And you kind of bring it back around the next day, and you make the healthy choices that you should. But you don't deprive yourself. And just like being that relationship role model, you don't allow yourself to be in that abusive relationship, because that's not what you want for your child. So yeah, definitely it's a great conversation with moms, especially that think about what your kid is seeing. We are a mirror to our children, that this is what you should do, this is what you should expect. And we can look at things that our parents did that either we continued to do, or we said, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And whether it's with our parenting or our life decisions, things like that. But yeah, we're definitely affected generation to generation by what decisions were made by the role model before. And it's a great motivator for moms to either make a decision to make different choices, to continue on a healthy, positive track, or things like that, to say, would you want that for your child? Do you realize that, again, you're being a mirror for them as to what is acceptable and what they should look for, and that type of thing. And I think as a mom, I know for me, for sure, I do not want to hear my 16-year-old in future years, the college, the freshman 15, as they say, when she's a freshman year in college, I do not want to hear her saying, oh my gosh, I need to go on a diet, or, oh my gosh, I need to, starve myself to lose 10 pounds, things like that. I would much rather have her have a healthy relationship with food and exercise and, the positive mindset piece, and be able to embrace, whatever it is at that stage in her life, and not have to think, oh, well, mom used to just diet when she wanted to fit into that dress.
Right. Right.
So I like to think that, the example that I'm being now, and that the moms that I work with are being that positive example that, again, you can have that Dairy Queen blizzard and it's okay. You don't have to not eat the next day or skip 2 meals because you had that blizzard and things like that. So.
Yeah, in many ways, what it really sounds like you're talking about is the discernment of having a relationship with themselves first and foremost, as opposed to the optics of society around them and what it's going to look like, and their motivation if they're overweight or all that kind of stuff. It's like, make a choice that's based internally, as opposed to this is what you should do and whatnot on that. The other thing that I've also back from when I was working in the Alberta Father Involvement Initiative and looking at how do we define what it means to be a father in our society, and how do we move forward. And something I learned is that you can you can often motivate women to engage in self-care because they kind of get it, they understand that. But motivating men for self-care is a fool's errand. Men are not motivated through self-care because A, we're not socialized that way, and B, we're not that's actually not we're not wired that way. And if you want to motivate a man, and as a man I believe this to be true, and I've also seen this, is you call a man to a higher purpose. You call a man to something out of themselves. So when I'm working with men who, let's say, or when I have worked with men who, let's say, have diabetes, it's just like, do you want to walk your daughter down the aisle? Yeah, hell yeah, that's my job. Well, then take care of your diabetes, you asshole, because you're not going to do it. It's literally that kind of in their face. You got to do that. It's just like, do you want to teach your grandson how to shoot, hit a baseball or hit a hockey puck or whatever it is, depending on the country? It's just like, yeah, that's my role. Well, then you're not going to be in their lives if you keep being so disagreeable, because they're going to out you. So if you want to be there for that, so don't change for yourself, change for something else. It's often said that every single convenience in a home that we have, men built it to make their wives happier. They invented it because we want to do something. We want to be held in high esteem. We want to be admired by our women. We want them to think we're great, on that. But doing it for ourselves, we're not going to do it for ourselves.
Yeah, actually, that's dead on. And actually, if you think about it, I mean, what you say makes sense. I mean, you want to be healthy. I want to be able to play. Hold on. I'm sorry. I can't talk right now.
Okay.
I was going to say too, and Scott was saying it as well. When I start working with a client, the number one thing you want to figure out is what is their why. And a lot of times it's, oh, I want to lose 10, 15 pounds or whatever. But no. What is the why under the why? And that is where, like you said, Luke, that's I want to get rid of diabetes so I can walk my daughter down the aisle. I want to, for women, I want to feel sexy when I'm with my significant other. And it's that heart piece that you really tap into, that's that constant motivator, because it's not the number on the scale at the end of the day. It's deeper than that. It's more than that. And that's where you have to figure that out. And once you can have your vision set on that.
Okay. So it's what the number represents. It's not the number. It's what what it's about is the number. Then all the stuff. Well, if I'm this number, then I must be all these other things. So that's really do you have to debunk that with women? Do you have to really kind of help them understand that that's really not their true motivation?
Right. Yeah. You definitely have to get to the heart of it, and you have to dig deeper, and you have to say, okay, well, okay, so you want to lose 10 pounds, but why do you want to lose 10 pounds? Or, whatever the number is. And that's when you get down to I ran with my kid last week and I couldn't hardly keep up, or I was panting and my heart hurt and that type of thing, and it made me sad, or it made me cry or whatever. And again, the relationship with the significant other, and I want to feel attractive. And like I said, it doesn't matter what this significant other thinks, it's what she thinks they think, or what she feels, and that type of thing. And so yeah, it's definitely the why under the why. And that is where you get to, I want to live longer. I want to experience more. I want to see more, do more, feel better, things like that. And yeah, if you stop at the surface, the person is not going to push through the hard days, the challenging days, that type of thing. And they're not going to get up a half hour earlier to go out and take a walk.
Right. Absolutely.
You have to kind of keep that heart goal in front of them and keep them moving forward.
Right. So one of the things we haven't talked about yet, and I want to make sure we don't run out of time for that, is you are the guest speaker for Widen Your Gaze on Friday. And you just want to talk about, of course, not go through the presentation, but just talk about, what you're going to be covering and why people should come out for Friday. And
Sure. Yeah. So on Friday, I'm going to be sharing some more in-depth information that I share with prospective clients, and talking to you more kind of like I was saying about, maybe you have a goal, but what really is more important is the why underneath of that why, and what you're wanting for yourself. And talking more about, like I said, with the three areas, with the nutrition, the fitness, the mindset, and digging a little deeper into those three areas as to why they're important and how it doesn't have to be challenging and difficult. And, so many people think, oh, well, I have to give up this and I have to go away from that. And so we're going to talk about how that can be possible without stopping activities and outings and things like that. And when we do the diets, we have to give up, and it's know this, know that. And so we're gonna talk about differences with a healthy lifestyle versus what we unfortunately hear so much of in the media and interface, and unfortunately too, kind of what's been done historically that will lead to short-term success, but not long-term goals and ongoing success. So look forward to seeing everybody on Friday and sharing more, and hopefully, I know you will walk away with some ahas and some information that you can put into play, and feel good and knowledgeable and empowered to proceed forward, as well as if things are resonating with you, I would love to talk further with you as well. And as I said earlier, when I work with my clients one-on-one, we really get an opportunity to look at specifics for the individual and look at how you can directly apply it in your life, and not as much as in a generality when I'm talking to a group of people and trying to make it fit for everybody and give examples. When I work one-on-one with my clients, we really get to look at what does a healthy plate of food look like for you, and what would you put on that plate, and that type of thing, and what movement do you specifically enjoy. And like I said earlier with the mindset piece, do you enjoy journaling? Do you enjoy quiet time, prayer, meditation, things like that? And so being able to work one-on-one with a client is of course ideal, because then you get a direct prescription
Right.
for what you can do that will make changes significantly in your world. But I look forward to Friday and being able to share and give you things again that you can put into practice in your life.
You know, it's this and I'm not sure how it was like in the last couple of years, and I've heard it multiple times, but it just kind of, it seems to be more this idea of, you know, when we perceive that we have to lose something, that makes it even harder to do something. When we perceive that we have to, you know, it's this, what am I going to lose as opposed to what am I going to gain? And on that, and I'm just, what are your, do you have any, and if you're going to talk about that on Friday, we can leave it on Friday, but do you have any thoughts about that? Because you mentioned on a couple of occasions about this idea of I have to take stuff away, and then that puts us into, you know, as you mentioned, the body store housing and that, you know, that kind of stuff. So
Right. Yeah, definitely. When we think about weight loss, because truly that's usually the biggest motivator, is we think, oh, I can't have this, oh, I can't have that. And you think the deprivation and what's going to be taken away. And, you know, the best thing that I get to work with my clients on is, what do you get to have? Let's look at what you get to add into your life. Let's look at, you know, not talking about the no. Let's look at the yes. And, you know, as I said earlier, I had a Dairy Queen Blizzard yesterday. You know, I had ice cream and it had cookie dough pieces in it. And so, you know, being able to tell women, moms, whatever, that you don't have to have a separate meal from your family. You don't have to, you know, decline an invite with the girls to go out for drinks. You don't have to, you know, all those things that we think so commonly, I can't, I won't, I'm not, you know, that type of thing. And, you know, you get to take that out of their world of, I can't, you know, I won't, that type of thing. And, you know, it's such a freedom to know that I still get to go to family gatherings. I still get to enjoy the pizza party, even though I'm on a healthier journey for myself and my family and things like that. And it's just so freeing because, as you said, we're used to seeing and hearing that, you know, you have to cut out all these things. And that's not true.
yeah, it's just,
so
yeah,
that's such a breath of fresh air so often that I don't have to be deprived. I can still keep living my life and make better choices, and I don't have to become a hermit.
And there's that correlation of if it's not hard work, it doesn't count or something. It's not, it has to be laborious, it has to be effortful. It can't be, you know, a reframe of your choices on that. It's, you know, no pain, no gain type of thing on that I think is often confused with that.
One of my favorite activities with my clients, and I'll talk more about it on Friday, is creating what we call a movement menu. And that's where they get to create a list of things that they really enjoy doing that give them movement in their life. And, you know, it's dreaming and thinking about, oh, well, if I'm supposed to do this, then what will I really enjoy? And, you know, for some, it's going to the gym and lifting weights. And for some, it's no way, no thank you. I would rather take a walk or take a run. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's okay. It's whatever works for you. It's what works for you and what will get you to do it. And so many people think, because we're told, because it's around us, that, oh, you have to go to the gym for 2 hours or you're not really working your body out like you're supposed to be. So it's really cool to be able to open up people's eyes to see that it doesn't have to be a negative experience. Because, you know, I mean, we've all kind of been around somebody that, oh, you're on a diet oh, you can't have that. Okay, I see. You have to eat a salad, oh, you poor thing, that type of thing. And you can be healthy without having to have a salad for lunch and supper every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and there's that kind of that idea of you're going through something difficult, or that's really, or you're fighting the good fight, and
Right.
that kind of false empathy or something about it has to be hard or whatnot. So
And people kind of feel sorry for you when you're the one eating the salad. It's like, oh,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, that's right. Something, but you're doing it for the higher, you're disciplined, so that's good and whatnot. So
Right.
so what would be what questions would women be asking themselves when they're ready to find a health coach? What's coming up in their mind, do you think? What's kind of are
I
they
would
aware of?
say that they're ready to do it differently, that they're tired of pulling a exercise from here or there, and they've YouTubed this and they've YouTubed that, and it's like a hodgepodge of, oh, I have to work my abs because aren't women supposed to have great abs? And just that long list of, oh, well, I've got this diet, and so I'm going to deprive myself of all of that, and I'm going to do this for a week, and I can't have this, can't have that. And she's just tired of the outside saying, you need to diet, you need to do this workout, and you need to do that, and just all of that extra. Like we said, she already has a lot of weight on her, and then she gets more and more, and so she's ready to do it differently, and she's ready to make a long-term change and do things, again, kind of back to, like I said earlier, with she wants to be able to make a meal that everybody can sit down to the dinner table and eat. And she's still on her health journey. She's not, given up on something like a diet or whatever. And, the whole family can participate. And it's, that type of, again, bottom line, she's ready to do it differently, because whatever she's done in the past didn't work. And that's one of the things that I like to have a conversation about is, what have you done in the past and why didn't it work, and things like that, because then you can really get an insight into what road she's traveled before and what did work, what didn't work. And if it did work initially, why didn't it continue to work, and things like that. And so really, again, that individual creation of, this is what works for her, and it's not necessarily going to work for the next person, and that's okay, because we are all different. None of us are the same, and none of us are intended to be the same. And so that's another thing that I would say is just that individualized support and encouragement. And so often we think, oh, well, I need a nutritionist, and I need a personal trainer, and I need a counselor, I guess. And then it's like, no, we can work together, and we can work on the fitness piece like a personal trainer would. We can work on the balanced, healthy plate of food like a nutritionist would. And we can work on the positive mindset piece like a counselor would. And you don't have to have this person, and this person, and everybody kind of coming at you in different ways. We can work together one-on-one and figure out what works for you in all of those areas. Plus, like I said, when I'm working with somebody on health, you get those life pieces that come into play as well. And, we have conversations about, those inter-family relationships and, work, home life, balance, things like that, because that's another big one is being able to manage everything. And so, yeah, bottom line, I would say she's ready to do it differently and to have somebody that can really work with her individualized and listen and give feedback and troubleshoot. Okay, so you were trying to do this week and that didn't work, and this was the challenge that came up. So how about we try it that way, and things like that. And so that constant ongoing work in progress and back and forth, that just because it didn't work doesn't mean that something else won't work, or maybe we can tweak it a little bit. And so that individualized attention is definitely key.
So, it sounds like there's also some misconceptions that they have about that you might have to kind of correct them on, that they don't need multiple multiple to do this right. I need to have that dietitian or nutritionist.
Well, and the other beauty in that too is affordability.
Yeah.
If you're not paying 3 different people to get to that goal, and you're able to work with one person, then it becomes a little more affordable, and a likelihood for yourself and your family. And right. That's like we touched on earlier, that the misconception that a health coach is something that celebrities have and is out of our reach as a common middle class person is not true. And especially when you can take 3 roles and put them into one, it especially becomes more affordable and doable. And again, it makes it something that she can now have in her life and can give herself and her family, because as we said, it carries over. When the saying, when mom ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Well, when mom was not healthy and full and yep. taking care of herself, then it carries over.
Right. Absolutely. I'm in a weird way, I'm reminded of interior designers, and they end up doing a lot of marriage counseling because
right.
because it's just like it's one thing, or the saying I like, or something I like to say is so home renovations are really about testing your marriage. To see how good, because if you want to test a marriage, do some renos in your house and see how that goes, because a lot of stuff will come to the surface on that. Do you find that there's a lot of your talking when women start working with you, that you're going into, that you cannot not go into certain areas of their life, like their perceptions of their husbands, sexuality, potentially mental health issues? Like I can't see how that wouldn't some way or another come into there. Or am I off the mark on that?
No, you're definitely right. And that's where, when I went into my certification.
Oh, you just froze there, Mary Louise. We're gonna see if Mary Louise will be coming back. I might be frozen for all you know. Just waiting. Oh, this is what we got. Almost 2 hours through without this kind of glitch. Scott, can you hear me? If I can just get someone to do a thumbs up or something, or say that they can hear me, because I don't know if I'm frozen to you guys either.
I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me. Thanks, Scott. I just didn't know if it was okay. So, and I have a thumbs up from that Zoom user. Okay, thanks a lot. So let me see if Mary Louise, she must have got booted out. Well, she might be rejoining us. So, Scott, how you doing?
Because you're not frozen, but like if I go to participants,
yeah.
Oh, there it is. I was up arrowing. It's just. Actually, I was about to say I'm going to run that since we're talking about it.
Yeah.
I'm in New Jersey, and by about 5:06, it gets dark.
Okay.
So I'm going to blow out a couple of minutes early, and while we're talking about it, I'm going to go throw a few catches with my son.
Right on, Scott. You just made my day, and I'm sure Mary Louise is going to love to hear that also. So, why don't you-
Actually, my son doesn't. I just ordered one from Amazon. He doesn't even know about it yet. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, very cool. Okay, well then on that note, why don't you bounce? And I
Yep.
think what we may do is just bring it, close it a few minutes earlier. So thanks, Scott. I really appreciate you being here. It actually helps, with this, knowing
Sorry,
that
I get him. I'm an emotional guy, and sometimes when I think about not being around for my kids, I get choked up.
Yeah, good. Good to hear that. We need to be there for them, man. Our
Yep.
kids need us. Full stop. Thanks a lot, Scott. I will see you.
Actually, I took I didn't exactly take a break as much as I should have, but it didn't work out as well as I planned. Thursday, around after some of my